Ever lost sleep over a deal falling apart at the last minute? What if you could bulletproof every transaction from start to close? In this episode, we're diving into the 10 secrets top performing agents use to deliver seamless, stress free closings every single time. Whether you're new to the game or a seasoned pro, mastering these steps can mean the difference between chaos and consistency. Ready to level up? Let's get into it. Thank you for joining us today on the Agent Power Huddle. I'm your host, Dill Ward, an icon agent and team leader at eXp Realty here in Portland, Oregon. With over 15 years in the industry, I'm deeply passionate and dare say obsessed with personal growth and helping other real estate agents shift from just chasing sales to building purpose-driven businesses that fuel a fulfilling life. Hence, Agent Inspired. This whole series is all about transforming the way you work so that you can lead an impactful, intentional, and joyful life. Today, we're talking about how to achieve transactional excellence in real estate and those behind the scenes systems, habits, and strategies that turn average agents into trusted professionals and repeat closers. If you've ever wanted to make your deals more smoother, your clients happier, and keep your referrals coming, you're going to want to hear every last step. I'm going to go through the 10 frameworks and different things that have a lot of micro habits inside of them that will help you be just a way better agent. Okay, so some of these are going to seem super obvious, but hopefully I can reveal for you today what area of the business that you need to lean in and get more skills and get more training. So no matter what we talk about, I don't want you to beat yourself up or feel bad or dismiss even. Maybe you think you just, oh, I already know that. I don't care. I don't need to get better. But I think all of us should be trying to get 1% better every single day in every area of the way we serve clients if we're actually in production out in the world, helping people buy and sell real estate, then we owe it to ourselves and to them to strive for excellence. So number one is mastering the contract and all the legal paperwork associated. I'm really surprised how many agents are not tuning in closely to their brokerage, to their leadership teams, to their team leaders, and asking and staying at the forefront of all of the changes that have happened over the last year and a half in real estate regarding the contract, understanding every single loophole, every single little bit of language that means something so that when your clients say, well, what does this mean? You're not like, let me read it. I've never seen it before, right? Like you don't want to be in the throes of transactional approach and not be able to know exactly what it means. And what's really fascinating to me at eXp, we have this incredible digital landscape we call the world, where we can just pop in and in minutes be talking to one of our compliance officers or managing brokers. And I was in yesterday checking on something because I always like to lean in and just make sure that I can do everything with full understanding. It was a very complex transaction with a lot of moving parts. And the person who teaches the forms said, yeah, I always get a little nervous when I'm filling out a deal too. Like I want to make sure it's all right, but it's one thing to be teaching it and it's another to be when you're doing it, right? So even the people who are obsessing and studying and doing the paperwork still get a little bit nervous when putting it all together. So this is your reminder that a lot of people lean on other people too. They lean on transaction coordinators, they lean on their assistant or their broker partner. I just think it's really lazy. I think if you are going to be in the role of advising clients, that knowing the paperwork, knowing the contracts, knowing all the addendums, knowing all the language is the thing, is the value, is we're just plopping a whole bunch of paper in front of someone on DocuSign and just going, sign it. Trust us. Don't worry. We know. So I think it's really important to, stay up to date, to keep studying, to keep learning, leaning in, asking questions, going into forums where people actually talk about the sales agreement. And I personally am pretty busy. I'm in a lot of transactions right now. And that's actually what prompted this topic. I was like, wow, let me think about all the areas of transactions that we could just do better, right? From the buy side, from the sell side. And I've noticed that a lot of the transactions I'm in, if the people on the other side are kind of tuned out, my co-op broker, if they're kind of tuned out, they're making mistakes. They're being sloppy. And I even had one, gosh, I don't even know if I should talk about this, but I'll keep it kind of anonymous. But I even had a transaction recently where the buyer's agent blew through the inspection period without finalizing the agreement and let the time go on and then just kind of kept casually trying to negotiate. I was like, in what universe are you operating? This is not how the transaction goes, right? So you never want to be that person. If you're an agent inspired, you never want to be screwing up the contract from the very beginning, right? So lean in, get help, and have someone in your life or a couple people in your life who you can text random questions to, like, hey, which addendum when you use for this, or which language, or does this sound crazy? Because that's another thing, guys. I have been seeing addendums come over with like, I'm like, this doesn't even look like English. It's so garbly gook of like unclear information about what is being proposed. And I think this is really just a skills thing. So I'm gonna go on record and say master the contract and the legal paperwork, because that is literally what they're paying us for. Okay. And the second piece of this is, if you're the one preparing the paperwork, if you're the one writing and drafting the contract, you kind of owe it to yourself and to the other parties that are going to receive any paperwork from you to do a nice little itemized summary of the paperwork. And I find that this helps me catch actually a lot of mistakes or things that I hadn't quite finalized. Like I didn't firm up a closing date, or I hadn't firmed up like who was going to be, what the details of the loan and all that stuff. Like it can help you as you're crafting an offer to do the summary, and then to take your summary, read it as if you just received it. Okay. This is an opportunity to put a little bit of sell into this into this thing. So when you start the summary, part of the summary is going to go to your client, right? Because you're about to shoot them a 25-page document or whatever. And having that summary is very helpful. I love when Brene Brown says, clear is kind. Clear is kind. So how can you be clear? So I know to get ahead of a lot of the questions that the consumer is going to have by putting it in the summary, just putting all the things in the summary. Now, the language that you use in the summary can be super, like, more granular for the customer, right? And then you can trim it down and make it a little bit less for when you're kicking it over to the other agent. But I can't believe how many offers I receive on my listings where there's barely even like a signature line. There's like, they forwarded me the DocuSign from their client. There's no summary. There's no contact information for the agent. I'm just embarrassed for them. I'm like, oh, this is how you do. Because here's the thing, guys. They say the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So show up at every little detail, fully ready, fully engaged, fully inspired, ready to do deals, ready to make stuff happen with these little nuanced things. You know your paperwork, you've attached the right stuff, you've put the information in the cover letter, you've put, God forbid, please, please, please have a signature line in your emails. I cannot stand when I have to go find the person's phone number, or they've literally left it off of the sale agreement. I'm like, who is this person, And if you have one of those signature lines that are an image, a lot of times the phone number is not clickable, at least on iPhone. I don't know what happens on Android, but when someone sends me an email and they're just like a big blurb box image of their information, I still can't click on the phone number. And if I have to like zoom into the photo and try to take a copy of the phone number and then go type it in and text, I'm like, I'm already mad at you. Okay. So let's just try to make it easy. Let's try to make information that you're lobbing over to the other side easy. Now, the other piece of this might seem obvious, but again, this is just a repeat of all the things that make us excellent and amazing, is, hey, you might want to call the person and let them know that you sent them an offer. I have been receiving offers in my inbox where no one has called or texted to tell me it was there. What? That's crazy. That is just lazy and bad practice. Not only do you want to call the person, but hello, this is the time to show who is on the other side of this transaction. So show up with great energy. I just sent you an offer. I can't wait to do a deal with you. I can't wait. Let's go. Let me know if you have any questions. Here's my number. Like, bring that energy to that agent so that they know that's how you're entering this transaction. And they'll actually be more curious about you. Like, oh, okay, this seems interesting, versus someone that just forwards a DocuSign with no information on it, because that's what you're competing with, guys. That's what's out in the marketplace. Okay, number two. This one is also maybe kind of obvious, but I have noticed people on a whole going through transactions need a lot more communication than we think they do. Like we think, I texted him, I told him. But the thing is that we are going through it at a rapid pace many, 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 many times. And we are used to it. Like, oh, this is happening, that's happening, this is happening. However, if you want to create a transformational experience for your customer, you've got to give them more. And they really want context. And even the young millennials who only want to text and don't really want to call, they still want more information. They want more communication, and they want to strategize with you almost at every step of the game. And I really believe that when they look back on the transaction and they, after everything's said and done, they got the perfect house and got the great deal and all this stuff. This is one of the things that they remember is, were you always giving a little bit more and setting their expectations, preparing them, and not just giving them a 3-word text that's like, yeah, it's that too. Can you give a little bit more? Now, a lot of us are driving around all day. I'm in my car like the whole day. So texting and sending emails can be really challenging for me. But I love to just say, hey, can we hop on the phone? And if not, I'll record you an audio. So I just, you just, the audio, guys, the audio text, that's the way to go. You just hit the little plus, you hit voice, and you just start talking, and you give more, and you give more context, and you give more energy of hope and optimism and calmness, and don't worry, it's all going to work out, and you're great at making decisions and confirmation and all that stuff, right? I think that the agents who are going to truly excel beyond the AI like world that we're exploding into as consumers can ask every single question of the computer and not you, is that they still need energy. They still need somebody to deliver the news and go, okay, here's what happens next. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to get to the goal. And AI is not going to be able to do that yet. Maybe it will, but we got to stay our edge. And our edge is our emotional intelligence and our kindness and our preparedness and our excellence, right? So I'm going to keep trickling that in. Okay, next, you're in a transaction. Transactional checklists. People love checklists. There's a lot of type A people in our world, and they love to be told exactly what to do, A, B, C, D, E. So if this is something you don't have in your business, put this on your to-do list, on your priorities, is like make checklist for home shopping, checklist for being in a transaction, checklist for moving, checklist for everything. They love checklists. And when you show that you have a full understanding of the process because you develop checklists, they feel calmer. Now, I'm going to just give a shameless plug for the CRM that I use is called Sphere. And inside of Sphere, there is a transaction timeline. So we just put the transaction in there and hit a button and say, send the timeline. And then I tell the clients bookmark it, and they can reference it for the rest of the transaction. So it has all the parties, it has all the dates, it has a lot of information. And I feel like the transaction timeline has helped a lot. But please have some kind of thing to help them stay ahead of deadlines and all that other stuff. Okay. Next, it's super important to build and maintain a trusted vendor network. People need people for all the things that are in real estate, and they love when they don't have to go find them. They love when you're like, I got a guy. Hold on. Like that is a value prop for you. When you're sitting with a buyer and you're in a console and you're trying to say, why pick me? You can say, because I know everybody. I can get everything done in a moment's notice. If you don't have that, if you're just starting out, hey, you got a lot more time than the rest of us. So you should be going out there hustling, building your vendor network. You need a painter and a cleaner and a stager and a dog walker and a this, that, and the other. You need every single kind of business professional. Real estate agents are at the center of a lot of commerce, a lot of business, a lot of things happen. And we could talk at length in another episode about building out an entire awesome trusted vendor network. But please make sure you have one because people need people and you can be the conduit for it. Okay. So in the contract, it usually says, hey, I'm just a real estate agent. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tax person. I'm not this. I'm not that, right? It defines all the rules of being a real estate agent in the sale agreement. However, your customer doesn't know all the other things that they need to know in order to make good informed decisions. So I think it's our job to collect the resources in which they can do their further research and be responsible for such research, but to bring to their attention because they don't know if they don't live in your city what the permitting process is or where to search. They don't know um, what the HOA, regulations and CCR and all the things. But you can be bringing it to their attention. You can collect a whole body of resources. I made a thing on my site that says municipalities, government, and just every single city where to search for permits, where to talk to someone for taxes, or talk to, all the things that have to get discovered. I remember early in my career, I was super nervous when I was, very brand new. And I would just say, sorry, that's not my lane. I can't help you with that. That's not good. That's not good. You can't, there should be no endpoint to your dedication and your service. You're just handing them off to the next set of resources or people to help do their due diligence because these are super important. And I like to go on my own secret decoder. Like I'm over here like, oh, you said there's 3 bathrooms because tax record says there's one. I'm like over here looking up my own, like doing my own due diligence. And obviously I don't want to like say that I'm the authority on it, but I'll say, hey, I've started to look into this and I've noticed, and you should look into this because this is actually your responsibility. And it really just shows a lot of value that you are thinking about how to get ahead of problems. You're bringing your awareness. I mean, I think that they hire us as real estate agents if they're buying to be the one that tells them all the things they don't know. And this is part of that area of things they don't know, especially if they're not from your area. They're moving in new. Okay, we're blazing right through these. Okay, anticipate and solve problems early. This is kind of that same realm, but also what about, potential financing issues, appraisal issues, inspection? Here's one I really want you to think about. If you're touring homes, this is really working if you're working with buyers. If you're touring homes and the home they fall in love with, and this is the one we want to buy, and it doesn't look like anyone has moved a single thing. It looks like the seller just said, hey, let's put the house for sale, and they just stuck a sign in the yard and didn't do a darn thing. Um, I think it really makes sense that we have cognitive awareness that that person is going to have a lot of work ahead of them to move out. And all that junk in the backyard is not going to magically just disappear unless we get ahead of communicating with the other agent who may also not be very experienced. They may not know that sellers are going to run out of time and run out of money and run out of energy to get all the crap out of their house. I mean, guys, post COVID, these houses are full. People got a lot of stuff. The shed's full, the second shed's full, the third shed's full. Like, people got a lot of stuff. I mean, let's just be compassionate and kind. But if agents are not preparing the homes, helping prepare the sellers, get their mindset ready, start purging and hauling, there's going to be a lot to do. So don't be blindsided as a buyer's agent. I'll be like, oh my gosh, look at that. They never fully moved out. Like, no, get ahead of it and start coaching everyone in the process on how to get ready. I'm the kind of person that's just like, hey, telling the seller's agent, hey, do you need me to bring some boxes over there for them? Seems like they need to get started if they're really planning to move. These are the kinds of things that I think we should take every single thing as our responsibility. I don't think it should be it's her job, it's his job, it's their job, they're getting paid for it. No, excellence. Excellence means just jumping in and throwing weight around weight and care and concern and giving everyone an opportunity to achieve the goal with excellence means sometimes you have to be the leader. Sometimes you are leading everyone else in the transaction, even though you're only representing one side. But that's deciding that you want your outcome to be amazing from the get-go and not just like leaving it up to the fates that people will do what they're supposed to do. Okay, this kind of goes, I kind of talked about this a little bit, but providing the education to the clients throughout the process. Again, I'm just going to reiterate it because it's so important. People want more communication and they want to be informed. They want to feel like they understand what could be the pitfalls coming up next. So I really love to set the expectations with my clients by saying, okay, here's where we're at. These are the 2 possible outcomes. One is great, one's not that great, but we need to be ready for it, right? And they love that. Then when it's not the great outcome, they're like, hey, you said that could be the thing. And I think we sugarcoat things too much or kind of keep it to ourselves if we're a little bit nervous. I don't think we should pass nervous energy on. That's not an agent inspired. But I do think our awareness and our nervousness of a situation needs to be shared with the client so they can go on the journey. They can be part of the evolving outcome, and they'll be ready to make the next decision, the next right decision for them at that junction, instead of just waiting for the whole thing to go into catastrophe and then calling them and saying, here's the thing, it's terrible. And then they have to recover. Now they need time to go recover from that experience, right? So you want to take them on the journey. Now, there's this old saying, you can't throw up down. Yeah, you can't throw up down, meaning you represent your clients. You can't take the stress you feel from the other agent and bring it to your clients. You're the buffer. You're the highly paid buffer from the emotional meltdowns that happen between little pieces of information as they're put back and forth between people. So your job is to really take what pissed you off, recover, do some release meditation, release. Thank you, Brendan Burchard, and bring it with a new energy to your clients. Okay, here's the situation. Here's what we need to do. But a lot of us are so amped up emotionally all day because of the highs and lows, that we're never recollecting ourselves, regrouping ourselves, and bringing our best self to every conversation. We're just texting, this happened. I mean, never drop negative news in a single text message, because I promise you what happens on the other side of that is they have a meltdown. They start complaining to their spouse. They start like predicting every terrible outcome ever, how life sucks, everything sucks. And like you could have just derailed their entire mindset and day about the whole process because of one text message, instead of delivering it in this more informed, inspired way, and then, coaching them back to good and calling, and then leaving them on that path, right? Not letting them just go on their own negative fantasy land, because that's a dark place. Okay. Remaining your professionalism with all parties, meaning every single human being in the process of a real estate transaction is a human being that can refer you, is a human being that lives in a house somewhere, right? Whether it's the house cleaner, the neighbor, the other agent, the assistant to the assistant, all the people that you're communicating with in every single, do your best to be your best. They can all be allies for you. There's people I've run into, 10 years later, and they're like, oh my God, I've always seen your name. I was the assistant to this agent or whatever. And then we have a great interaction because of building a personal brand, of being a person of integrity, kindness, joy, always trying to bring out the best in every communication, never just firing off negative crap, because that stuff sticks, man. Negativity is sticky, and you don't want to be that person putting it out there in the world. Okay, we're almost at the end here. Number 10, continuously improve and reflect. Continuously improve and reflect, meaning after every single transaction, do a groundhog day. Do a groundhog day where you're like, what worked amazing? What went wrong? And what can I do better? What can I do better next time, right? Every single time is a chance to sharpen the skills, to see where you need more training or coaching or just whatever. Just own your excellence. Own it. Just say, ooh, that's where I totally screwed up. I was having a really hard time with these people, and I need to learn more about dealing with this kind of personality type, or, there's just always something to learn every single deal. And I tell people, hey, that's the reason you could stay in this industry for so long, because it's endlessly entertaining and endlessly challenging you to grow and to become better. But personal development is the secret to making all the money. It's the secret to becoming just a client attraction magnet. People just love you and want to work with you and trust you because you're always doing the work. You're always bringing your best self. You're striving for excellence at every junction. And I think if you're even going to be in real estate, do it great. Do it amazing. Be someone that everyone is excited to work with, right? From the selling side, what can you do? If you have any listings right now, what can you do to be 1% better? Can you communicate with the sellers better? Can you do some creative marketing you've never tried? Can you go put some waters and some bubbly things in the fridge and put a little sign that says, enjoy a free beverage? It's hot right now touring. Hey guys, make sure there's toilet paper in your listing. Sometimes you just gotta go pee. You're out there showing 10, 20 homes. You're like, I just gotta go pee. I always tell the houses where there's no toilet paper, the doors barely work, the key is really hard to struggle with. I mean, all this goes into the personal brand. You just, when you're leaving that house, you always just look at the sign. You're like, yep, that tracks. So if you want to be someone of excellence, like think about all these details, make a list of things you can do to be better and that you can provide that other people aren't providing, like to make yourself stand out. So I hope these things have helped you in thinking about how to be your best, how to have transactional excellence. And until next time, stay curious, be bold, stay inspired, and go out there and be your best.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.